Hello and welcome. Aquarister here, coming to you with another video, and today we are looking at Life Staff with Void Gauntlet. In this video, we're going to be going over primarily what I use for dungeons, whether that be regular or mutated, as well as a couple changes that I make in order to utilize this build with PvP scenarios. So let's take a look at the gear to get us started. Alright, so looking at the gear, I am going to have a couple different changes depending on what I'm doing, but first we're going to be looking at dungeons specifically, since that's primarily what I am using my Void Gauntlet Life Staff for. Outside of dungeons, obviously, from my previous videos you've seen, I run a lot of Great Axe, Warhammer. I try to change it up outside of dungeons, but for the expedition slash dungeons, I do try to stick to Void Gauntlet with Life Staff, since it does increase my healing output with the Void Gauntlet, as well as being able to buff the team utilizing the Oblivion Circles. So looking at our gear, if you've seen my healer video, which I can post a link to that, I do go over some of my jewelry and the different life steps that I use, so you're more than welcome to refer back to that. But I am using pretty much the exact same jewelry that I've been using in that video. So really nice perks on them. Try to stick to con focus, all of that. Life Staff, still using Will the Ancients. Occasionally I'll use Divine Devotion, some of these others. Again, you can refer back to that video. For Void Gauntlet, I am still on the market for a very good Void Gauntlet. This is what I've currently been using. The main thing was getting the Blessed on it for the healing side of things. Blessed was really the main perk that I needed. Anything else is kind of a bonus to it, but for now, this is what I've got. Dark Vengeance is kind of the go-to healer Void Gauntlet, but it's very hard to get one. It's a random drop, and to buy one, if anyone has one, is going to be quite expensive. So until I can get my hands on one of those, this is what I've been using. I do have a couple other Void Gauntlets that I can swap in and out, but that's kind of what I use currently. Now, going on to the expedition side of things, and just overall for any dungeon, really, gear-wise, I've been really trying to piece together different ward gear for my armor specifically. So currently, all my armor here has Corrupt Ward on it, and you will notice a pretty big difference when you start wearing ward gear, whether you're a DPS, healer, tank especially. You will notice that your survivability will go up if you wear at least, I would say, at least 3 to 4 pieces, if not all 5 pieces with ward. If you have all 5, you'll be, sitting really good, especially for mutated dungeons. Now, perk-wise, it's a little bit trickier because you do want to try to get some of your weapon perks and a few of the others, but the ward gear, the survivability is really the main key. Now, I'm lucky enough that I happen to have, or I don't even know where I got them, to be honest. I think I bought them or got them, crafted them, something a long time ago. But these are absolutely fantastic pants with Fortifying Sacred Ground, Corrupted Ward, and Refreshing Evasion in full focus. These are like best in the slot pants for corrupt dungeons or anything corrupt, really. And I just happen to have those in a storage somewhere. Forgot that I had them, I guess, but we do have those now. And then I do wear a lot of the tempestuous stuff since it's free. We all got it. Really easy to use. And then I wear a medium chest in order to maximize my full armor potential, so I'm able to absorb as much damage as possible. For Void Gauntlet perks to have on your gear, obviously you can see I have Putrefying Scream, which for PvP is absolutely fantastic. If you're a healer, you're not running Void Blade especially, I highly recommend having Putrefying Scream on your Void Gauntlet. It's a 40% disease that you can put on a target, and that applies to anyone that you're hitting. So if you scream an entire group of people, like in a grav or something, that's huge. And it's for 8 seconds. It's a pretty long time. So I do highly recommend for PvP, run Putrefying Scream if you're a healer, and make sure, if you can, have it on your gauntlet. If not, no worries, try to have it on your gear. But Putrefying Scream is in my opinion, very, very, very necessary for PvP. As a healer, you're going to be able to make plays. You're going to be able to set up, some people for some plays for sure. So definitely something to look into. But that's the gear cut that I currently run for expeditions, for any of the dungeons and stuff. I can even run this corrupt gear. I could run it for portals, really anything that's corrupt specific. And same goes for, your ancient, your lost, any of those different wards. Your survivability in an expedition will go up tremendously. Your healer won't have to work as hard. Your tank will be able to just kind of hold the aggro. If you are the tank, you'll be able to just take the damage a lot easier too. So I do highly recommend getting ward gear no matter what role you are in. But next, let's look at the attributes that I typically run. As some of you have seen in my healing video and even some of my other previous videos with life staff, I'm still sticking to my 117 con, everything else into focus. Again, the reason for that being is that I use a lot of 33 con foods. Now, for higher mutated dungeons, I will run a 40 attribute food, whether that's con or whatever. Usually it's con. So some of the higher mutations, I will run a 40 con food, but for the most part, I'm still using the 33 attribute foods. So therefore, 117 con plus 33 will get me up to 150 con for the dungeon or expedition or PvP. And then the rest in focus. So I always have that focus. Even if I don't have my attribute food going, I always have that same amount of healing output. My healing output will not change with my attribute food. The only thing that changes with my attribute food at that point is my survivability and my own health. So really what I'm doing is taking the attribute food just to keep myself alive. If I'm staying alive really well and I don't feel as though I need the extra HP, I can put that 33 focus food into my focus and then get up to 380 focus. I don't really notice a huge difference. I think those 33 points are usually better in con, but occasionally I will run really high focus just because survivability, I'm fine. But again, for most expeditions, most PvP, this is what I'm going to be running. You get the utilization of all the perks of focus, and then for PvP, if you hit 150 con, you will get the minus 10% to critical damage taken. So that is what I would recommend. This is what I've been running. Again, PvP and PvE, this is like, for me, this is perfect. So you may need to tweak it, find what works best for you. You may like 200 con and a bit less focus. Just kind of depends. Play around with it, see what works for you. But again, with the 33 con food that I've been taking, this has been really, really nice. So next, let's take a look at kind of what our weapon does, what we're doing for abilities. We'll look at the weapon mastery of the Void Gauntlet. We'll glance at the life staff as well. But let's take a look at the mastery real quick. Taking a look at the different weapons, we'll start with life staff. This is my go-to life staff build. I don't really change it up from this. This is what I stick with. There are a couple changes you can make to it if you'd like. One thing you can do is if you don't want to run the glowing focus to have your buffs grant 20% longer, you can run Sacred Protection. Sacred Protection, especially for an expedition, is nice since you're increasing the incoming healing to all friendlies in your group for 5%. That is an option. It is a trade-off though, because with glowing focus, your buffs are granted 20% longer, so you're able to at least like apply some fortification, all that type of stuff. So it is a trade-off. You may want to switch back and forth between those two, but in general, this is my go-to for life staff. You can refer back to my life staff video, and that actually will go in more depth into this build specifically. But let's take a look at the Void Gauntlet next. Currently, this is what I run for Void Gauntlet. Now, I have run it differently, and for PvP, I do run it slightly differently, but for expeditions, this is what I've been running, and I've been really happy with it. we'll take a little bit closer look here. So for the Annihilation side, the only ability we're running is Oblivion, which you do want to run it all the way down to make sure that you're getting the Weaken applied as well as the 15 stam per second. If you have this, your tank is going to love you as a healer because they will be able to hold their shield and still gain stamina even while they are blocking, which is huge. Now, looking at some of the other perks, we get some of these other ones kind of mixed in. I go for a lot of cooldown reduction as well as being able to utilize your Harvest Essence in order to shorten your cooldown as well. So with Void Gauntlet, my goal is to get cooldown reduction kind of wherever I can get it. So we're running kind of all these reductions. I do run the Efficient Harvest, so then we're not taking as much health drain by 50%. So with this build, when we mix it with this, we're able to reset our Oblivion circles and our orbs and all that much quicker. So I do really like having the Refreshing Harvest. Mana cost being lower, always nice to save mana. And then we have the dodging with full mana heals you for 80% damage. So it's pretty good. It's a little extra health every so often for you. Is it that useful? Maybe not, but it is just an extra perk, and it allows us to get our Glimpse of the Void. We do run the other two abilities. Now, again, this is my PvE build, so with PvE, I tend to run Essence Rupture. I occasionally will run Petrifying Scream with Orb and Oblivion sometimes, depending on the expedition. Some of them, there's a lot of mobs, and it's nice to be able to scream them if I get pushed. Plus, you get a fortification up to 30%. So that's a pretty huge fortify if you can land that. But for the extra healing output, Essence Rupture is really, really nice. Your team will like that, especially if you have like more kind of a split range with melee, then your range and your melee can still heal up and all that. It's just all around a really good healing ability. And then Orb of Decay is fantastic because you can really heal a lot with it. When you send that orb out and it comes back, it's healing for quite a bit. 70% weapon damage on the explosion side. So if you detonate it, it'll burst heal for 70%. But in general, does it tell us how much? 20% weapon damage per second for 5 seconds. So that's pretty good healing, honestly. That's really, really not that bad. And then if you mix the explosion in with it, another 70% healing, burst healing. Pretty fantastic. And then Glimpse of the Void, I have run this. It's a little bit tricky to get used to, but if you can pay attention to the stacks, the Void Essence stacks, if you can keep an eye on it, get the stacks, and land a heavy, you'll instantly reset all your cooldowns. And it takes a little time to get used to, and I'm still not the best at it, but I have in the past gotten a couple times where I was getting the hang of it, and it's really nice to be able to reset your cooldowns pretty quickly, but you have to pay really close attention to it. It can be kind of tricky. But that is the Void Gauntlet build. If I go PvP though, I will remove the Essence Rupture, and I will remove Glimpse of the Void, and instead I'll go Petrifying Scream. So I'll take these three, put them in Petrifying Scream, and then I will take Glimpse of the Void and plop it into Void Caller. Main reason is for PvP, if you can land an orb, circle, and a scream, you'll more than likely trigger your Void Caller, and that's just an extra aura of healing around you. And since you have Scream on, you're more than likely going to be a little bit closer to the enemy, meaning you'll also damage the enemy as well as heal yourself and any teammates. So for PvP, I do recommend Void Caller, and for PvE, if you feel like that's going to be more beneficial to you, then definitely go that route. I just like the Glimpse of the Void for those times where I am able to reset those cooldowns instantly. It is quite nice. I just need to get better at it. But next, let's take a look at some of the abilities. We'll take a look at the Void Gauntlet and some of those stacks and how we can work it. Okay, so looking at the Void Gauntlet, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Glimpse of the Void. Now, a lot of people do not run this ability. It seems a lot of people are going to be running Void Caller, but Glimpse of the Void, I feel, is a very underrated ability. Well, more like a perk. Reason being is that it is very easy to be able to reset your cooldowns for your Void Gauntlet if you play it right. So I'm still working on getting better at it, but the way that you can do it pretty easily is utilizing your Orb of Decay. Because if you read what it says for Glimpse of the Void, gain a stack of Void Essence per successful ability hit. Per ability hit. Now, your orb can get multiple hits, and that each hit from that orb is an ability hit. So let's just burn through our cooldowns, right? So usually what we'll have an orb, maybe that. Now watch this. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy attack. We just reset all of our cooldowns. It's a 15-second cooldown to when we can do that. So every 15 seconds, we can completely reset our abilities. That is pretty amazing, because if we look at that, that's 18 seconds, 18 seconds, 12 seconds, and I'm able to reset each of those instantly. Every 15 seconds, you can reset that instantly. So I do think it's a very underrated perk to have on your Void Gauntlet, whether it's PvP or PvE. I think it's absolutely huge, because you can literally just like spam 2 Oblivions back to back almost, or multiple orbs. You know, like it's pretty crazy what you can do once you get used to it. Because again, circle, rupture, get all that, heavy attack, boom, we got him back. So that is why I really like running the right tree. Now again, PvP, I do sometimes run the Void Caller, because you know, again, when we're this close with the stream, sometimes it'll trigger, but do not sleep on Glimpse of the Void. It is very, very useful, again, especially as a healer. We'll do it one more time. Boom. Get our 4 stacks, reset them all. It's really that easy. It seems more complicated, but it really is that simple to regain all of your abilities back on Void Gauntlet that quickly. And as a healer, we know that our cooldown time is everything. We want our cooldowns just boom, boom, boom. We want to keep bringing our cooldowns back. So as a healer, for us to be able to do that is absolutely huge. So I do highly recommend it. It's what I've been running. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's helped me a lot. Okay, looking back, we went over the life staff, which I will link the life staff video that I just put up last week, so you can go more in depth into the life staff side of things. But the primary thing today is we went over Void Gauntlet, both PvE, PvP, what I've been running for dungeons, ward gear, all of that. Yeah, it was a good video. I had a lot of fun making this one. It's something that I run quite often, and I don't really think about it as much, but I'm glad I can share it with all of you. If you did like the video and like to see more, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll definitely be coming out with some more videos. It seems like Wednesday seems to be the day for videos, so for now, that's what we'll stick with. Don't forget to find us on Twitch. I do stream throughout the week. I try to stream probably 4 days out of the week at least, so feel free to stop on by a stream. We'd love to have you. But until then, that is going to do it for us. So I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.